I was asked a question about a Facebook post that explained the placement of the tip of the tongue during Qigong as solely being used to connect Du Mai, that's a governing vessel, to Ren Mai, the conception vessel. Was this its only purpose? Another of those short, seemingly simple questions that requires an in-depth answer. Here goes. I'll start with the Qi aspect. Du Mai and Ren Mai are Qi pathways and are not governed by the physical body. They're constantly flowing and they're connected to each other whether the tongue touches the palate or not. The position of the tongue does not connect them, but it does increase your awareness of that connection. In most of the Qigong that I teach, we use what's known as the natural cycle, the natural flow of Qi in these exceptional vessels. These are also known as the extraordinary meridians. The flow is up Du Mai, up the back, down the front, down Ren Mai. By practicing with the tongue in this position, we are actively acknowledging and encouraging this flow, this natural cycle. But it is not the only direction of flow. So we use other tongue positions as well. The three positions that we use in Qigong are the fire path position. This is to work with the natural cycle, the one we were talking about. Here the tongue is touching the palate slightly behind the front teeth, but not touching the teeth. The wind path position to work with the reverse cycle, so Qi flowing up Ren Mai and down Du Mai. Here the tongue is touching both the palate and the rear of the front teeth in connection with the front teeth. So that gets this reverse cycle going. The water path position is to work with the inner cycle. That's working with Chong Mai, the thrusting vessel. Here the tongue is touching slightly further back from the fire path position. You'll often see this described as the tongue touching the border between the hard palate and the soft palate. But this can be very uncomfortable for many. And placing the tongue this far back can cause distraction rather than assisting you with your Qigong. As already stated, these vessels are not physical and are not bounded by your physical body. The positions we use act as switches so that with lots of practice you can switch from one cycle to the other simply by moving the tongue. So from the natural cycle to the physical side, the reverse cycle. The physical contact is just that. So merely moving the tongue position does nothing to influence the Qi flow. It's a mental connection that counts. You must use the Yi to change the cycle and program this by linking that direction to the tongue position. It takes a lot of focus, time and diligent practice. For most Qigong, we're using the fire path position as we're utilising the natural cycle. To begin with, it takes much more focus and the ability to listen to the Qi to get this flow. By using the tongue position as a switch for this cycle, we need less focus on it, and we can use that focus elsewhere. Likewise, when we train our Qi for the reverse cycle, we need to put in the time and the effort. Need to do that first in order to get that cycle going. Simultaneously, we're programming the new switch. It's the same for the inner cycle. It's like a mudra. Just forming a hand posture does absolutely nothing It does not magically change your state of awareness. You reach the state of mind and then you connect the mudra to it. Now we'll cover the physical benefits. With the tongue resting, relaxed in this position, the chances of over or under salivating are reduced. And this reduces distractions. The less distractions, physical or otherwise, the easier it is to guide the chi. And we can listen more so that the subtler, quieter manifestations of chi become tangible. Whether the breathing is through the nose or the mouth is another linked question that often crops up. Breathing through the mouth has a tendency to dry the mouth out. Yet another distraction. If possible, the breathing should be through the nose. But there will be times when this is not comfortable. For example, if you have a cold. But you should always use the least distracting method. Remember, a quiet body and a quiet mind means a better chance of quality Qigong.